the girl stood before the spinning iron pillar. She took a step back and got into position. Then, with one precise strike, she blocked the high-speed attack of the iron pillar. This scene even scared the abbot of the Shaolin temple. Because Mao couldn't go home now, she immediately sought help from outside. But Kay mistakenly set the wrong position. As a result, Mao was left stranded on a deserted island. On that island, Mao lived alone for a while, until one day, she decided to leave. Mao used her superpowers to build a raft. She successfully paddled to a mysterious country. Mao had a tough time during this period. She had lived in a junkyard, slept in crowded dormitories, stayed in dilapidated houses, and even sneaked onto a train. She did all this to find her two friends. In the past, in order to survive, Mao had even worked as a street performer. At that time, she happened to meet an abbot, who adopted her, and tasked her with the responsibility of recruiting students for the temple. One day, after using her superpowers to break some bottles, Mao was about to leave when a man called out to her. Before he could approach, he was dragged away by others. After a long day of hard work, Mao collapsed onto her bed. At this time, she was still talking to her two wooden friends. Mao wanted to find Anzu and Hina, and her words were overheard by a monk outside the window. The monk told the abbot about Mao's plan to find her friends. In fact, Mao had always been under surveillance by the temple. The abbot thought Mao was mentally ill, so he continued to have her monitored. One day, while Mao was eating, Atsushi noticed her. He told Mao that he was looking for her to regain the passion he once had when performing magic with Hina. When Mao heard Hina's name, she picked up a nearby puppet and asked Atsushi, "Does Hina look like this?" After confirming, she finally found a clue. So, Mao agreed to teach Atsushi Qigong, but her condition was that Atsushi must take her to find Hina. However, this request was rejected by the monks who were monitoring her. They did not allow Mao to leave, but Mao wasn't willing to give up. Mao finally got a clue about finding her friends. She decided not to hesitate any longer. Mao grabbed her puppet, and with Atsushi, she climbed out the window and ran away. They sprinted through streets and alleys, knocking over countless vendors. As they fought back, Mao's movements were clean and precise, causing the onlookers to applaud. Although Mao's strike had knocked the opponent's phone away, reinforcements were already on their way. Mao wanted to use her superpowers to send the pursuers flying, but she didn't want to reveal her abilities. Now, Atsushi was getting more and more fired up. Suddenly, Mao came up with an idea. The abbot finally arrived. He said that as long as Mao passed his test, she could leave, and the test was none other than the spinning iron pillar. Even the abbot himself was scared by this challenge. As he tried to advise Mao, she walked right past him, facing the high-speed spinning iron pillar. Mao was not afraid at all. She assumed the stance and prepared to face the challenge. However, no one knew that she never actually touched the iron pillar. The abbot was completely stunned. He never expected that someone could block such a fierce iron pillar with their bare hands. But Mao was not satisfied. She smashed through the wall,